It's his first trip to the Burrup, and despite searing heat, Malcolm Turnbull took his hat off to the significance of his surrounds.
This art is genuinely awesome.
Mr Turnbull says he's committed to heritage listing the Burrup and the surrounding Dampier archipelago by July. With the deadline now in place, heritage groups say they want a commitment the government will ban all industrial development in areas where there's rock art.
Pushing that win-win solution, which means that all the remaining rock carvings are protected and that industry is moved to the sites that should have been led to from the beginning.
They plan to present more than 40,000 signatures, asking the gas giant to cease work on the site at its annual general meeting in Perth on Thursday.
On the Burrup Peninsula in Western Australia's northwest lies the world's largest rock art site, including outlying islands. An estimated 1 million rock art engravings or petroglyphs are spread out over 270 square kilometres. Some of the images, which include mainland representations of the extinct thylacine or Tasmanian tiger, date back 10,000 years, or if you like, twice the age of the Great Pyramids. But it also happens to be an area with enormously valuable reserves of liquefied natural gas. Woodside Energy Limited has been developing these gas fields for the past 25 years and is in the process of developing the Burrup LNG park. Is it possible to balance heritage values and lucrative economic development?
I'm calling from an organisation called GetUp. We've been running a campaign on this since late last year, since Campbell first put out a call for submissions.
We know about GetUp here.
Oh, great. Yeah, about 40,000 people have put their messages towards the decision makers on this. I think at the heart of this matter is the fact that no compromise actually needs to be drawn. There is the ability to finally, through federal legislation, protect everything, the rock carvings around the Dampier region. And there's the motivation now on a number of levels to finally move industry to a site where long-term industry infrastructure can be built for 5, 10, 15 years. So the question that needs to be asked is, why is Woodside continuing to try to develop Pluto in its current location when any number of places exist for it to do otherwise?
I thank you for the opportunity to ask some questions of the board. I represent a number of shareholders who are concerned with their investment in Woodside due to your ongoing desire to develop the Pluto LNG facility on the Burrup. Already 10,000 pieces of rock art have been destroyed or relocated on the Burrup, and this is just the next phase. I also present to you, and I have done so outside, on behalf of GetUp Australia, 40,000 messages specifically about this issue, a collection which contains many succinct and erudite evaluations of alternate locations available to you. We are aware of 2 available flattened areas on the Burrup suitable for the second part of your facility, one less than 500 metres away from your currently proposed location. Given that the petroglyphs contained within the Dampier archipelago are considered by world archaeological experts to be a single site in the same sense as Stonehenge, could you please provide a rationale for your continued controversial desire to relocate and move elements of what is a single entity?
I believe the 2 sites that you might be talking about, one would be possibly inside the Northwest Shelf Venture, and I think I addressed that earlier. The second is a construction site, an old construction site, which was a potential location. It was one of the 7 sites that we reviewed. Clearly, we were guided. You know, the area up there is industrial park that the state owns. They are the ones that provide the leases. They guided us to the leases that they wanted us to use due to their desires to locate potentially other industrial players in the future.
Colin Barnett, you've made your views very clear on this tonight. Is there a role for federal intervention here?
Well, I think it's true that the site will receive federal heritage listing. That's appropriate. It certainly warrants that. However, you cannot manage industrial development through the federal heritage portfolio. And if Malcolm Turnbull goes down that path, I think that will be a failure for both for heritage and for economic development. And I repeat, Woodside's not the villain in the piece. They're the current project. In a couple of years' time, there'll be another project. And unless we actually take a long-term view and resolve this, Australia will look very poor in international eyes as a first world nation.
Now, as I understand it, the agreement has promised a lot, but looking at the preliminary, looking at the numbers, there's only tens of thousands of dollars that are going to go back into the Indigenous community and a development of some $5, $6 to $10 billion. And this is not saying anything about currently Woodside, but it's saying what is the state government doing for the Indigenous community out of this development. No more development should occur until the local community and the Indigenous community are protected.
When you come to the Burrup Peninsula and you climb up on the rocks, you realise that you're sitting amongst some of the earliest known images known to humankind. And when you sit here amongst prehistory and you realise the treasures that Indigenous people can share with this country, it becomes clear to you that industry and the profits we make from our economic development have to be put back into preserving everything that's left of these amazing carvings.